Alright guys, so this is gonna be my first video ever. I've tried YouTube before and everything that I have done in regards to recording has never went well, but I just finished my first year in college. I'm starting to, I'm going to college to become a software engineer, and I guess this is going to be the video, the very first mark of me moving toward that goal. On Codex Club, I'm starting with Python. I've learned Python a little bit over. I have like a year and a half of experience of Python, and to be realistic, all of this is very stressful. And honestly, success is just not something that is easy, right? And there's going to be a lot of things that I have to overcome, and I just have to do my best to maintain a positive outlook on on my experience in college and everything that I'm doing. Um, I absolutely love computer science, but I will say that sometimes it can get to be incredibly stressful, and through stress I kind of lose myself a little bit. But I do find myself coming back to this. Obviously, now that I'm in college, I'm forced to do this, but this entire summer I've been studying all of this. I've even gone back to my intro to CS and all of these things, and it's something that I really enjoy. But today, this video will be about Codex. Codex is a website that you can go to earn a bunch of certificates for learning different things, and these things are pertain to the science of computers. So if you go to learn, uh, you have Python. These are the recommended things: Python, GitHub Copilot, Python Intermediate, Python, SQL. That being extremely important. Like, these are things that you can learn quickly. But right now, the goal is just to build my portfolio and get a certificate in Python for this, and eventually move on to intermediate Python before next semester, where I learn Java. But I want to get all of this stuff done before I start Java. But we can start. So I've finished Hello World. I finished the variables, and then I finished the control flow topics of within Python. Now we're going to move on to loops. So this will just be more of a video where you guys can just look at me programming, and if you learn anything, I can speak on it, and if there's anything that you want to comment down in the comments, that would be pretty cool. But yeah, let's begin. So it says so yeah, in programming, a loop is used to report a block of code until a specified condition is satisfied. It's another incredibly powerful tool that's used a ton. People often use the generic term iteration, yeah, when referring to loops. Iterate simply means to repeat. The first kind of loop that we are going to learn is the while. Yeah, so a while is one of the most common loops within programming. You can think of the while loop like a traffic circle. Each lap is one iteration. A car will iterate over and over again until it can't do so anymore. So, before we dive into while loop, let's see a demo using so saying try the following terminal on the right. So if we do C, so we have print, we have pin equals into input, enter your pin, while pin different than 1 2 3 4. So run, it's saying our goal, were you able to get access to the ATM. So to get access, if the pin is equal to 1 2 3 4, that's how we get access. So we type in 1 2 3 4, pin accepted, and thus we have access to the ATM. So if you submit the answer, boom, very nice. While loop. Now that we got a sneak peek of the while loop, let's see what it does. So while loop looks very similar to an if statement. Just like an if statement, it executes the code if condition is true. So while condition, with condition being true, it runs. So however, the difference is that the while loop will continue to execute the code inside of it over and over again as long as the condition is true. So as long as condition equals true, then it would run. Say if this was A, if A was true, then it would continue to run. So here we have a while loop that asks the user to guess a number. Guess equals 0, while guess is different than 6. Guess equals input to guess a number. This will run over and over again until the user guesses the number 6. The variable guess starts at 0 on the first line, and then the program enters the while loop. So we can skip all of this. Let's continue on from the code below. Create a guess.py program, type in the following. Alright, so we can go on starting to create a guess.py program. So this, it's already named guess, and wow, the guess, oh wow, I don't know. Wow, the guess is different than 6. Guess equals, so this is, so we're putting input inside of a integer as the parameter. So if we do space and then we do print, you got it. So this would basically, while guess is different than 6, so the guess by default is 0. So that's called priming. So guess the number. If we guess the correct number, then it will say you got it right. Any number different than 6, it would just continue. So I'm not sure why hold on, let's see. Oh, I see what happened there. Okay, so if you do 2, hold on, what's the issue here? Okay, no issue. I think I entered in something. Okay, now if we enter in 6, being that guess is not different than 6, when we enter 6, but it's equal to, it will say you got it. Boom. There we go. We did it. Wait, no, we did not. Okay, correctness is then add a second condition. Okay, we need to add, so first introduce variable. Oh, okay, so we need to do tries actually. So tries, so it says first introduce a variable called tries at the top and give it a value of 0, like guess. So tries equals 0, then add a second condition with the tries variable to the while loop using a relational operator. So I'm going to assume that's what it was expecting. Okay, no. I'm not entirely sure what exactly it's asking, so we can go on with hint. Oh, okay, so it's asking us to use both guess and. So if we're doing guess equals 0 and tries equals 0, and we have wow, guess is different than 6, and okay, so run the code a few times. Let's make it so that it's the same guessing game, but there's a limit to the number of tries. So basically it could be anything other than 5. So it's finite now, so there's a limit as to how many tries you can have. And then guess equals, so here we would update tries, so here we literally could do plus equals 1 as for how many times it iterates through the while loop. So while guess is different than 6, tries is less than 2, guess equals input guess the number, and being that you've guessed the number, as soon as you guess the number, it is basically the augmented operator, so compound operator, and being that it's plus equals 6, this is basically saying tries equals tries plus 1. That's basically like the shorthand, or this is the shorthand notation for that. So if you do tries plus equals 1, now if you run it, it should only go through twice. That is if it loads again. I think it's just reading through the code right now. If not, we literally could just, what I'll do is I'll control C and then reload. I'm not sure why it does that. So if we do, alright, let's try that again. I guess it's, so this should work. I really don't know why it's taking so long. Alright, we're just gonna view the, what we could try to do is submit it first. Alright, we're gonna view the answer on GitHub because it doesn't make sense as to why. Okay, tries, yeah, we did plus equals instead of tries plus 1, so I guess it's different. Well, I guess is, oh, okay, so it's saying add a branch below that. Okay, so if we, so once we reach 2 in total after tries plus equals 1, if once that hits 2 after we've iterated through while twice, if we do if guess is different than equals 6, it says print you ran out of tries. So even after you go through the while loop and it exits the loop because it's reached 2, in the case that guess hasn't equated to 6 yet, right? It's going to say if guess is different than 6, print you ran out of tries. Else, if guess does equal 6, right? It's gonna say print you got it, or you got it. Now if we delete this line, so an if else, I guess you could say that, oh no, because it's required that we check it twice. Yeah, so we got that. So if we run it again, what does it say? Oh, we need an and, which would be part of the logic boolean system. So now if we do submit, it should work. Oh no, correct is. So let's see what's going on here. So I think what's happened is that we want tries to equal tries plus 1 instead of the compound operator. Maybe we might be a few steps ahead. Otherwise we're not, and we just, let's figure out the issue here. So we got guess equals 0, tries while guess is different than 6 and tries. Maybe it needs to be specific to 5, even though that's not entirely. So guess equals input. If guess is different than 6, print 2. Alright, maybe. So, okay. Well, guess is different than 6 and tries. So I think what's happened here is that we've gotten it to be correct, but AI reads it as being wrong. So if guess is different than 6 after, yeah, so we did, honestly what I'll do is I'm going to copy and paste this file here, or the code within the file. Control C. Alright, so we got that. So right now it looks like everything, oh I see, okay. So we have print you've got it twice. So now if we submit it, okay, we got it, yeah. It's little mistakes like that that can make projects, or you know, just programming in general, be very time consuming. So it's best to get in the habit of checking for, you know, little things. Kind of have a little bit of OCD. In a sense, to loop through a set of code. One more time, we can use a for loop in the range function. So what does it say? Suppose you got the detention too much. I would not use Snapchat in class anyway. Print it. That does. Okay, so if we do for, it wants us to print, I would not use Snapchat in class on the whiteboard. It wants us to write that 100 times, basically print it out in computing terminology. So that would be, starts at, so it could be 99 since it starts at 0, 0 meaning 1 and 1 meaning 2. So that would be the 0 basically is with 0 equals 1 and 1 equals 2 as for the position that is printed. So this counts as 1, this counts as 2, this counts as 3 in programming because it's n minus 1. When the number is n minus 1 in regards to its position. So if you do print I will not use 100 times. If we do that, okay. I probably shouldn't have run it because now it's gonna. Alright, now if we submit it, yep, we got it. There we go. Good job. Alright, so this is for so on May 6th, 1949, EDSA on early electronic. Okay, that's just a company name. Ran its first program at the university. It calculated and printed out a list of squares. So on the left, you got all the single digit numbers from 0 to 9. On the right are their squares. For example, the last row, 9 times 9 equals 81. This can be done in Python using string concatenation. So adding strings to each other. Let's learn a new tool that's very similar to before continuing on. String interpolation is a process of substituting values of variables into placeholders in a string. So this is basically, okay, so string interpolation is basically using the format string, like feature in Python. So for instance, if you have a template, or yeah, above. So 99, well, okay, it's an old thing that annoying kids, oops, I mean everyone, saying on road trips to pass the time. Create a 99 and use a for loop and a range function to print all of the verses of 99. Okay. So we can use, so for this, what I do first, so it's saying, so this is all of the verses of this song. So in total there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'd have to iterate through this. I mean, we could literally name this like for ITR, for iteration in range, and we could say 3. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, which is 4 times, right? And then what we could do before that is we could make a variable equal the string value. So we can do var underscore 1, var underscore 2, var underscore 3, underscore 4. We can say equals, 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 equals. And then we have, so for the first one, 99, okay, so we can, this would just be on the wall. For the second one, it would be, it would be nothing, literally, it would just be nothing. And then, this one would be, that one would be that one, take one down and pass it. And then var4 would be, 98 instead of 99. So we have that. So if we do print, so it says, yeah, for it in range. Wait a minute. Hold on. Let's try hint because I'm actually kind of lost. Okay, I'm actually very lost with this problem. So what we'll do instead is, I think the best thing, if we view it on GitHub and see, because sometimes these explanations are very vague and there's only so much you can. So it's basically saying, and okay, let's just see how this runs. Oh gosh, hold on. So if we copy, we paste this here. So we have for I in range 99, comma 0. So -1 just means that it's iterating downward. The first parameter or argument is where it starts, so 99, and then comma, and then second is 0. So how many steps it's taking. So if you put 2 here, then it would iterate down 2 and skip the number after, and the first number after the other. So it would go from 1 to 3. But in technical terms, since there's -1, it would be 3 to 1. But since we don't have that, it's just going downwards. So if we run this, I'm interested to see what. Okay. Oh, okay. I see what's going on. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So for this, right? It's basically just iterating through this 99 times, but going downward. So it's printing out the value of I. So how many, what I is in range, right? It's printing out what that is, and if you're going down once, it's inevitably it's going to start at 99. So if we can like scroll up, I don't know if you can. Yeah, so it starts at 99, then it prints 99 bottles of, yeah, etc. Then it says take one down, pass it around. Yep, but that doesn't have the value of I, so it's gonna remain the same. And then since this is I -1, it just goes down. So it decrements 1 each time it iterates. So that's that. And now if we submit it, should be good. Yay, we did it. So FizzBuzz, okay. The FizzBuzz problem. So you've made it to the end of this chapter. Let's do it. The while loop iterates over and over while the condition is true. The for loop in the range function iterates for a certain number of times. FizzBuzz is a children's word game that teaches division. It's also a classic technical interview question yeah, so FizzBuzz is a very common question. I'm glad that I'm doing it. Here's the catch. So it says creative that outputs numbers from 1 to 100. Here's a catch. For multiples of 3, print fizz instead of the number. For multiples of 5, print buzz. Alright, I can try doing this by myself. We'll see how well this goes. So if you do for I in range, hold on one second. I'm gonna be so if we do for I in range 100, right? For I in range, yeah, for I in range 100. So the range is output the numbers that outputs numbers from 1 to 100. I want to see whether or not this is 99. Okay, so we can't check. Then for I in range 99, So, oh yeah, we need to use some operators for this. So to find whether the multiple of it can be used, we briefly went over. So if a number num is a multiple, it's num equals because. So, it's saying. So what is this saying? So it's saying created for the month. Here's a for multiples of 3. If you can't. So we're saying if a number num is a multiple of 3. If a num is a multiple of 3, it's. So if we could do like num equals 0. And we could do num plus equals 1. Then we could do if num. I'll do 3, right? We have, so it's saying it's multiples of 3 is saying equals. So if we're saying for multiples of 3, print fizz, and then else if num 5 equals 0, it's basically saying print buzz, and then if you have else if, so we need an else if, otherwise any number that prints is basically going to apply this to this statement. Usually you wouldn't, but yeah. So we do have, okay, so we already have fizz buzz. Else, so we could do print, we could just print num. So right now, if you do run, so this should work, because he primed, no. Okay, let's see. Let's figure out the issue here. So we got 1, 2, we have fizz, we have 4, we have buzz, and then we have fizz, and then we have 7, 8, fizz. So we did, wait, okay, so we have 11, then we have fizz, and then we have 13 and 14, and then we, oh yeah, so we messed up on fizz buzz. So we got, okay, so here's the tricky part. For multiples of 3 and 5, else if, oh, so for this we need to, so this is the tricky part of this one, right? So if you have if, else if, and then else if again, so for numbers, for multiples of 3 and 5, we would just do num modulo 3 equals 0 and num modulo 5 equals 0 print. So this would be fizz buzz, oh gosh. So if they're multiples of 3 and 5, and then else, well, else is just if they're not multiples of 3, multiples of 5, or multiples of 3 and 5. So now if we run it again, so now this should work. We're just looking for fizz buzz once. Else if so wait, I think, so if num, wait, else if num equals, oh yeah, so the issue here is that it's checking for if num equals 0. If a num is a multiple of 3, it prints, right? But this is asking for both, but if one already applies, then it's not gonna print this. So this right now, if we do, so technically speaking, in all of technicality, so this will go towards the top. If we got this one, alright, yeah, if num modulo 3 equals a num, then it's going to print fizz buzz, right? Else if num, and then else if num, because this, we're looking to see if this applies first, right? Because if this applies first before the and, before the boolean, this boolean line, right? It's this will print, this is basically going to not print, because if this is above this one, it's going to print. It's going to check whether or not 3 applies if there's a multiple of 3, and it's just going to print fizz, for example. And it's going to do the same for a multiple of 5. It's going to print buzz. So this needs to go first in order for this program to really make sense. It's order of operations, for example, just in regards to it printing line by line rather than everything at once. So if we run it again, now it should work. So if we go all the way up to the top, we have 14. Yep, fizz buzz. Now if we submit, we should be good. We use priming. We made num equals 0. Yep, we got it. Good job, guys. We finished the loop section of Codex. Chapter 4 complete. Good job, guys. Thank you so much. We will move on to the second chapter, or the chapter after this one. We already made it to the 3rd chapter. This should be 4. So we'll make it on to chapter 5 in the next video. Thank you guys so much for staying here. I absolutely love doing videos like this. I feel like my head space, it needs to go somewhere, and it's honestly why I love computer science. I just feel like if my headspace is not in a space of problem solving, I don't know, I just feel so stuck, and this is kind of where I escape. So thank you guys so much. If you guys enjoyed the video, I would very much appreciate if you subscribed, or you don't even have to subscribe. You could just leave a comment, or even like the video. It just shows that people are watching, and it just makes it so that I continue making videos. But thank you guys. I hope that you guys have an amazing day, night, evening. Make sure that you're drinking enough water, you're eating enough, all of these things to help yourself, because they're very important. But I will see you guys in the next one.